That's the issue she has with this apps, with the creation of a product. So designers need to understand user needs and pain points in order to create a product, basically. Yeah, so the next thing we'll talk about is designers need to understand user needs and pain points in order to create a product, basically. Yeah, so the next thing we'll talk about is the types of quantity. Like, let's say human feelings, for example, and things that cannot be quantified, basically emotions, how users feel while using a product. So, for example, when you are like trying to carry out a research, you ask how somebody feels while using an app. Let's say, okay, WhatsApp is trying to like carry out, is trying to review a feature they put out, basically, and they are trying to like ask for users' opinions about it. They carry out a research. They can ask the users questions along the line like, okay, how do you feel when you use this product? Now, those type of feelings cannot be quantified. Like, there's no quantity at which there's no scale at which we can weigh them off of. That's what qualitative research means. So this is just like a type of research whereby you are basically trying to quantify, you are basically trying to know how users feel, because it would be very difficult to quantify. To quantify it, like give a specific number or value to how they feel, basically. So that's why it says here, ethnographic field studies and interviews are examples of methods that can help you build a deeper understanding of why users behave the way they do. Example, why they leave a website so quickly. For instance, you can interview a small number of users and get sharp insights into their shopping habits by asking them open-ended questions. Usability testing, which we'll talk about further down the line in the class, is another dimension of this type of research, e.g., examining users' stress level when they use a certain design. Qualitative research requires great care as it involves collecting non-numerical data. You know, I told you qualitative research is just dealing with human feelings, and it is very like difficult to put like a numerical value on human emotions, e.g. opinions. Your opinions. And yes, because even as a designer, the designer too always has his own bias while carrying out these researches. So there's no amount of numerical value you want to put on certain emotions that a user exhibits, that is actually accurate. So most times, in order to like get a very valid numerical value in UX design, we mostly use quantitative research. So you guys would know about quantitative research now. You guys have used like you guys have done like a lot of surveys. You've done, let's say you've used Google Forms. You've seen how Google Forms work. So qualitative research is a more structured. Okay. So qualitative research is a more structured method. Like surveys, A and B testing, usability testing, and the likes. So with more structured methods such as surveys, we gather measurable data about what users do and test assumptions we developed from qualitative research. An example is to use an online survey to ask users questions about their shopping habits. For example, approximately how many items of clothing do you buy online per year? So if you look at this question can be quantified numerically. When you ask a potential user, or when you are carrying out a research and you ask a participant, like approximately how many items of clothing do you buy online per year? The person would like give you a certain number, which is numerical. Now you can weigh that with the societal standards of, okay, what do you mean by when a person gets a lot of clothes, an average amount of clothes, and a very little amount of clothes? Yeah. So approximately how many items of clothing do you buy per year reflects a solidified data on the fact that, yeah, you can gauge what is extreme, what is average, and what is very little. You can use this data to find patterns within a larger user group. In fact, the larger the sample of the representative test user is, the more likely you have a statistically reliable way of accessing the target user population. Regardless of the method, with careful research, you can gather objective and unbiased data. Nevertheless, quantitative data alone cannot expose deeper human insights. So for those of you who have questions, yeah, you guys can just ask. You can unmute your mics and ask. So is there anyone with a question before we move forward? In the absence of nobody asking a question, yeah, I think I should just show you. Oh, you have a
Can you
question.
please take? Yeah, yes. Although I really do not understand most of the thing, but please can you take that qualitative of a thing again, or just yes, just on that qualitative.
Oh, okay. Qualitative
Thank you.
means you trying to gauge human feelings. Like, let me ask, there's a question. Okay, can you see the example here? The example they gave was, why do users leave a website quickly? Now, users might say, oh, they had like pain points or edge cases. Edge cases are scenarios users have while completing a task on a website. So imagine somebody who uses a shopping app, for example. Now, you experiencing pain points in completing your task, like in getting clothes online, in like purchasing clothes online, is not something that we can gauge numerically. It's not like, it deals with human emotions, basically. You might just be like, oh, the process is too long here. It's too long on this platform, whereas it is like simpler on other platforms. So there's no like definitive reason, or even if there's a definitive reason, it cannot be quantified numerically. Like, you cannot assign a value to it statistically. Yeah. So that's what it means. Do you understand? It's
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So does anybody have a question?
Sir,
Yeah.
can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Yes, sir. Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, yes. Regarding the qualitative and quantitative,
Yes.
I want to get, like the previous person asked, I actually want to get a clarification on is it on quantitative?
Yeah.
Maybe probably we use figure, okay, to
Yes.
assess
Numerical values. Yes.
numeric. Okay. Why
Yeah, numerical
qualitative? Maybe
figures.
we use
Quali-
qualitative. We use words of yes.
yeah,
Qualitative.
so qualitative
Quantitative is
is,
numerical.
yes, quantitative means a data that can be quantified numerically. Do you understand? Something that can be quantified.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, okay, if you can count, let's say you have like 10
Yes.
balls now, you can count them. That is quantifiable. Yeah. Now, let's say you have like a grain of sand. Can you count it? No, that's not quantifiable in that sense. So, something that you cannot
Yes.
quantify numerically, yeah, in this case, it deals, you can't quantify human emotions. There's no like a standard or yardstick to quantify human feelings.
Yes.
You can just say you are feeling bad, but nobody can quantify it numerically. Do you understand that?
Okay.
So that's what we mean by qualitative
Now,
research. Yes,
maybe
sir.
yes.
Yeah. So ask.
What I want to say is, in terms of connotation and denotation. I'll try to like put it in that way again. Maybe probably in qualitative, we connote it with connote like with words, and
yes,
in
basically
quantitative.
that's
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
yes.
Thank you, sir.
So that's what it means. So does anybody have a question again?
Yeah, good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening. I can.
Yeah, my question is this type of research, right? User
Yeah.
research. Is it
Yes.
possible for a user to conduct, as in to implement both?
Yes, it is.
No, let's say a user doesn't want just the numbers, wants to also get the feeling. Can they play with
Yeah, like
both?
a designer, the person
A
conducting the
designer,
research. Yeah. Yes.
yeah, can they play
Yes, it's
with both?
possible. Yes, it's possible. It is even like compulsory. Because when I start explaining, like when I start showing you guys the type of tools and how they work, you see that like designers use both in most cases in order to understand users. So the quantitative
All right.
research is just like a backing to the qualitative research. Do you understand? Yeah, it's like the quantitative research is used to understand the qualitative research in most cases. When I start showing you like examples of how these things work, you guys will understand. So is that clear? So
Yeah, very well,
I'll
sir.
share there was this research I carried out. Yeah, let me share my screen so you guys will be able to. So in most cases, yeah, when a designer carries out a research, in most cases, you ask open-ended questions like, okay, let's say for example, you are trying to create like an app. So the case study we'll use for today's class will be like an app that we want to create an app that will be used to like view movie trailers, like movie trailers, and also book cinema tickets before going to the cinema to watch a movie. So now, when you are carrying out the research, you want to discover the goals, the needs, and the pain points of users who have used those type of apps in the past. So if you are aware, Silverbird has an app, Filmhouse has an app, Ozone, those are the cinema houses in Nigeria. They have apps in which users use to view movie trailers as well as book movie tickets online before they get to go to the cinema. Because these apps were created in the sense that users had issues getting to the cinema houses, yeah, and they'll find like long queues. So they wanted to get like tickets online before getting to the cinema houses because of stress and everything. So whenever you carry out a research in those instances, yeah, when you ask an open-ended questions like, have you used a certain app before, or an app that relates to booking a ticket or watching a movie trailer before? Now, the answer they give you, and most times you have to record your interviews down. So the answers they give you, you write the answers down. Yeah. You write how they feel, like what you observe, the way they answer your question. You know, the way people answer, the tonality with which people answer questions are very different. If people are very like comfortable using an app, if you ask them like a question about a feature that they are comfortable with, they answer most likely in a positive light and in a positive tone, most likely. So whenever you carry out an interview, yeah, try to like be an active listener, ask open-ended questions as much as possible. That's why this is where the quantitative research comes into light. So ask open-ended questions like, okay, how do you feel when you use this application? Now, how they feel cannot be quantified numerically. That means it is a qualitative research. It cannot be quantified numerically. The designer, in his own way, has to be able to like think that, oh, this is the way they feel, and oh yeah, how can I make these things better for the users I'm trying to create a better solution for. So what you are seeing on the screen here is an empathy map. It shows this empathy map is like a chart that shows what users say, that records what users say, think, does, and feel in an interview. So an empathy map is a way we can visualize empathy. An empathy map is easily understood. Is easily understood in the sense that it is a chart that explains everything designers have learned about a type of user. An empathy map consists of 4 squares: what the user says, think, does, and feel. So now, when you ask a user a question, whatever they say, you record it in the says box. The way you think, what you think their thought process is, you also record it. Most likely to be like an adjective, not like a full sentence. Then how they react, like their gesticulation, is what is written in the does. Then the feels is how comfortable they felt about you asking the question and how well they answered it. So is that clear? Before I proceed to like the next 2, is that clear?
Yes, sir. Sir.
That is clear. Yeah. So after the user empathy, the empathy map, we'll go to something known as user personas, basically. So a persona is personas. These are fictional users whose goals and characteristics represent the needs of a larger group of people / users. So what we mean by this is when you are done carrying out your research, you carry out researches on different types of users, different users with different backgrounds, different views, different observations. Yeah. So what we do mostly is when you are done collating what the users feel, think, does, and say on empathy map, yeah, you now create a persona. Now, when you are done collating all these, you should find like there will always be a pattern. Yeah, like a user might be like, yes, while I was using the Silverbed television booking app, payment was very difficult. Yeah. So if you have that type of observation, like thrice, yeah, you group it on one side. That is like the first observation. That's like the first pain point users have in using a specific app or other apps. So other people might say, yeah, so they didn't find like the whole experience or the whole color combination good. Those are like another set of people. So now what the user persona aims to do is each group of people, you create like a story for each group of people, in the sense that if you have users that, oh yeah, they have issues with the checkout process in an app, in paying for any service, like in this case, in booking a movie ticket. Now you create a story, a fictional story that, oh yeah, this so person, this is just like a representation, it's just like for a formal process. It's not like something, just to understand what your research is about. That's why you carry out personas. So let me just show you what a persona is, so you get what the example of what I'm trying to say. So I'm coming. So for example, you can see this page. Yeah, Fumilayo is 22 years old. She's a college graduate. Her hometown she's from Lagos State. She stays in Aja. She lives with 2 dogs and she's a quantity surveyor. Now, what Funmilayo aims to get from the product is she wants to watch trailers of upcoming movies and also buy tickets for available movies at the theater. But now her frustrations are absence of platforms that enable both viewing of trailers and purchase of tickets. And the other frustration she has is getting personalized notifications on new trailers. So the problem Funmilayo has is the fact that she can't find any platform that enables both these services. And she also wants to get a platform whereby she can get personalized notifications on news on new movies that are coming out or stuff like that. That's the issue she has with those apps. Now, this Funmilayo might not even be like a person that is existing. Like this might not even be like these details are not like real details. They're just like fictional details, but they are details that are used to explain the pain points of certain groups of users. You understand? Like the pain points like that a certain group of users have is what you create a persona on. Is now the group of users that have the pain point of absence of platforms that enable both viewing of trailers and purchase of tickets and getting personalized notifications on new trailers. Those are the people we are representing Funmilayo with, not because Funmilayo is just a person. She's just like, she's representing a group of people that have certain issues or certain frustrations. Do you understand? Or is there any question you'd like to ask before I continue? So there is also another person in this instance. Adegboyega Joseph is 31, he's a college graduate. He stays in Ondo State. He lives with 3 siblings. He's a petroleum and gas engineer. Now, what Joseph wants is to get notifications for movie trailers and purchase movie tickets easily, and also find theaters around. But his frustrations with the apps that he uses, this is what he's complaining about now. Sometimes I have issues finding theaters around where I visit for field trips. So Joseph is a petroleum engineer in the sense that, yes, and petroleum engineers, they travel around the country on oil exploration. So while Joseph is out of his hometown, Joseph actually wants an application or a platform whereby we'll be able to locate cinemas around to watch a movie. And currently, there is no like cinema platform that does that. All what they do is, yes, they provide you a platform for buying tickets or watching movie trailers, basically. None of them even do both. And his second frustration is getting daily notification of movie trailers in a time of his choosing. So now Joseph, in this sense, is a fictional character. These details are fictional, but they are based off of a group of participants that took part in a research that had these frustrations. So you might have like 5 group of users that have different pain points, and you represent them with like 5 personas. So do you understand? And can I continue? I need like an answer, yeah.
Yes, you can.
So is
Yes,
that
you
like,
can.
is that clear? Is that like very clear?
Yes, we say
If any, if anybody has a question, please ask. Okay. So after the creation of your personas, you can see that this is still the user research. You're still trying to find out what your users need, their goals and frustrations while using certain apps that are almost like what you are trying to work on. Because there's like no product you want to work up in this time and age that has not been carried out, that has not been done, or that, yes, that has not been done before. There will shall be somebody that has done something related to it. It might not be like the same thing, but there will be somebody that has provided similar services to what you are trying to work on. So after the user personas, we have something known as the competitive audit. So let me share the slide on the competitive audit for you to understand what I'm trying to explain by the competitive audit. So now, a competitive audit is a chart whereby you test your competitor's strength and weakness, basically. Let me share you guys for, excuse me, I'm coming. Yes, so can you guys see this? This is an example of a competitive audit. So for the project we are trying to work on, we are trying to work on an app that, oh yeah, whereby users can, an app where users can watch trailers as well as booking movie tickets. But in the course of our research, we've also found out that people want to get like they want to get like a location finder, a feature called location finder, whereby if they're out of town and they're in like a place where they don't know well, they can just like, oh, I want to go watch a movie with friends or with work colleagues. Yes, then they put on their location finder to find cinemas around. So if you look at this chart, so that new location finder feature is something that will now be like a new insight, because before going into the research, all what we wanted to know was what are users' pain points when using these cinema apps or movie trailer apps. It wasn't even in our agenda to like, yes, build a location finder or something. But we've seen that this is something that a group of users need. And yes, since they are like, since it is like a prevalent problem, we have to implement it in our design, even if it was not accounted for in the beginning of our research. So that would be like a new insight into the old design, a new insight that comes. Okay, so this will be like a new insight that comes as a result of the research process. So in this case, this is why research is important, in the sense that there are a lot of things that we designers assume to be what users need. But in reality, because designers are biased, so I am biased, everybody is biased. We even have biases implicit. There's something called implicit bias, whereby you don't know that you are biased about these things, but you are in reality. So because we are biased, we have to carry out research to actually know what users want and how to produce it, or how to develop them to users in a sense whereby users will be able to relate and use those things well. So now, competitive audit is a chart whereby you test the strengths and weaknesses of your users. You research about what they are doing well and what they are not doing well. So for this first one, this is like a competitive audit I did for a course I took. Yeah. So film house cinema. We have four platforms here. We have Film House Cinemas, we have Ozone Cinemas, we have IMDb, and we have Silverbird Cinemas. So the competitor type in this sense is, okay, there are two types of competitors. You have direct competitors and indirect competitors. Direct competitors are competitors that produce or are offering the same set of services that you are also offering. You understand? So if you are trying to offer like something like, you are trying to let users watch movies and also book tickets, anybody that offers those same set of services is a direct competitor. Then an indirect competitor is somebody that offers, since we are offering two sets of services, two types of services, yeah. An indirect competitor is somebody that offers just one of these services, of both services, just one. So in this case, IMDb offers the service of just viewing movie trailers, while Silverbird Cinemas offer the service of buying movie tickets. They don't offer the service of viewing movie trailers. So now, their locations is also useful in your competitive audit in the sense that depending on the type of people who live in a certain area, you can gauge what sort of or what type of users or what set of users those people who use those cinemas will be. In the sense that if, let's say, you are trying to carry out a research in like Lekki and somewhere like, let's say, Makoko, their backgrounds will obviously be different. Yes, people in Lekki will have like a different version of reality or life, while people in Makoko will have like a different version of reality. Yes. So what they are trying to say is location is actually important in gauging who your target users will be. You understand? Now, the product they are offering is the next thing. Few Miles Cinemas offer movies, movie trailers, and ticket buying. Ozone also offers both. That's why they are direct competitors. While IMDb offers what are they calling it? Movie trailers, then Silverbird Cinemas offer just booking, buying of tickets for their cinemas. You can't watch movie trailers on their platforms. So now, prices, because whenever you're trying to create a product or develop a product, everything is not about the design. You also have to think about the price range. Would my users be able to afford what I'm trying to project? If you want to actually have a successful product launching, everything is not just design. So this is the amount that each cinema sells a ticket. This is like a fictional amount. It's not like something real. Yeah. Their websites, the business size, large, they're all large businesses basically. So you have to scale your business to be large. You have to understand that, oh, these are large businesses. This is what it entails. Yeah. Then target audience, everyone. So the difference between a target audience and just a normal audience is in Nigeria, if you are creating like, let's say, a movie app, your target audience, or let's say Lagos for example, your target audience your audience can be everybody, everyone, but your target audience are people that you know that, yes, these people are enthusiastic about coming to the cinemas. So your target audience would most likely be young people around our age range, people around the ages of let's say from their teens to like late 30s. Those are people that are, to be honest, in reality, those are people that are like enthusiastic about going to the cinemas. Yes. So aside that, we have what the business stands for: unique value proposition. So Few Miles Cinemas as feels like, oh yeah, this can be an haven for good experiences. Ozone, a place for families. So this is what Ozone actually stands for: a place for families, where families can come and watch movies. So that's like their brand identity. In this case, this is what they stand for. So these things, you have to know what each of your competitor, basically what the competitive audit is about is, you have to know what each of your competitor brings to the game and how you can influence those decisions, either their weaknesses or strengths, before you produce what you are trying to, your designs or your products. Yes, basically. So first impressions, you as a designer, when you check out these apps, this is not like something that you ask a user. This is what you experienced when using those applications. That's what is known as a competitive audit. What the designer, you that are trying to create the product, what you experienced, or what are your thoughts on the weaknesses and strengths of your competitors. So for the Few Miles Cinemas, the desktop website experience, it was good, it was okay. Same thing goes with Ozone, same thing goes with IMDb, same thing goes with Silverbird Cinemas. Now, for the mobile or website experience, it was good, very good interface. Categories is not well sorted out. So these categories is not well sorted out is a weakness on the part of your competitor. So you have to like start that down. You actually have to record everything down because you have to know what they do well and how to exploit it and maybe copy it. Then, yes. Then for the Ozone, very good navigation elements are not too consistent. This is also a weakness on the part of Ozone. The elements on the application are not too consistent. So when you are trying to create your web pages or whatever you are trying to create, your apps or web pages, you have to keep all these things in mind. So now the next thing I will explain on the competitive audits are the features. What features does each app or each company, yes, the app of each company, what do they provide? What features do they give? So for the Film House, one-click payment. That means in one click, you can actually pay for the movie tickets you are buying in that sense. So this is like a very good initiative in the sense that when users want to book tickets, everybody just wants the main objective about using an app is just to be able to use it well. If you create an app and the app is fine and it's not usable, that's like trash, to be honest. So, or it's not too good. Don't let me call it trash. It's not too good in that sense. So one-click payment is a very good initiative in the sense that, yes, when you get to a website or an app and you watch movie trailers and you feel like getting or buying tickets to watch the movie in a cinema, you can just tap a button and fine, yes, it leads you to a directory where you can actually pay that easily. So this is one of the features that Film House does well. Then for Ozone, hovering information pop-up and bad booking process. This is what they've done bad. IMDb, one-click payments, categories for movies. This is what they've done good, and so on and so forth. So accessibility. Accessibility means you creating a feature, or you keeping in mind certain diverse users, certain diverse type of users, in the sense that there are people that are colorblind, for example. They might see red or they might not see a shade of red, or people who are blind. Yes. So what accessibility tends to do is the fact that you are creating certain features for people with some limitations that would also help users who don't have those limitations. Let's take, for example, the Google closed captions, like subtitle stuff on Google or YouTube. Before, but I remember when I first started using Google or YouTube, sorry, whenever I was watching videos, there was no like subtitle, or if you cannot understand how the type of English they speak, or yes, you can't readily catch their accent, you can actually see like a subtitle of what they are trying to say showing on the video. So that helps users who are not like used to the normal British accent or Scouse accent in this case. It helps them understand what they are watching. So that's what accessibility means in this sense. Then user flow. Their user flow was for Film House Cinemas was outstanding. For Ozone, it needs work. So you've seen that this is what Ozone does bad in this case. Then IMDb Zone 2 was outstanding, and Silverbird Cinemas needs work. Navigation 2, like how users navigate through the website. For Film House Cinemas, it was okay, and yes. Then visual design. So you can see that everything we've been talking about has been the UX part. Most times, it is always the UX is actually more than the UI. Can you see now that in this whole competitive audit, there's only like a form, yes, a section for visual design, which is actually the interaction part, or yes, the UI, the visual part of what people can see. Most times it's usually the UX, how people feel. The UX is actually more encompassing than the UI, but the UI also complements the UX. The UI is also very, very important. So what I'm trying to explain is the UX part is as important as the UI part in this case. So now this is where the visual design comes into place, the brand identity and the tone of the brand. For the film house cinemas, friendly, informal, and informative. For ozone, informal, friendly and informal, and informative. For silverbed cinemas, the IMDb is friendly and informal. So let's take, for example, we all use banks in school. Yeah, if you think about it, the bank for students are actually like Access and Access and GT. Most students use Access and GT. But yes, according to statistics, most students use Access and GT. I've not seen or I don't believe majority of students use First Bank, and that's because their branding is different from the branding of GT Bank. GT Bank actually is informal. First Bank is more formal than GT in that sense. Like, do you understand what I'm trying to say? So First Bank is like actually more formal than GT in that sense, in the sense that most times it's old people that uses First Bank. Like, I'm not saying young people don't use First Bank, young people too use First Bank, but most times it's usually like not people within our age range that uses First Bank, and that's owing to the fact to their branding or brand identity. So after the competitive audit, we have something known as the user journey map. So after completing your competitive audit, yeah, you now try to envisage on how you can complete like a task for users. So you get out like a draft of design, like a low fidelity design. Don't worry, when we start working on Figma, you know what a low fidelity and high fidelity design mean. So you start working on a user journey map. So let me explain let me show you guys what user journey map is in this sense. So a user journey map, this is now based on the persona of Fumilayo. You are now saying, oh, for Fumilayo, this is how I want her, or this is a feasible way of her completing any task or our goals in the upcoming app I'm trying to create. So the action is browse menu. These are actions on this first row: browse menu, select trailer, book tickets, complete booking, then go to theater. So a user journey is like the step-by-step feelings a user feels while going or using an app, basically. So the task list is browse an online trailer menu, check categories. So for the browse menu, for this action, these are the tasks she's expected to complete. This is what she's expected to face while browsing the menu. For the select trailer, these are the tasks she's expected to face. Now, feeling/adjective. This is when you design your low fidelity, and you now carry out let's say your research or your usability testing in this case. Most times it will be like an unmoderated study whereby you can just watch, you just give them the application in that light and tell them to use it. Now, while they are using the apps, you record them. It might be a video, or you can record the observations by writing. Now, how did she feel while completing these tasks is what you will write here, feeling/adjective. So while she was browsing through this menu, she was overwhelmed by the number of trailer options. So this is like negative, yeah. overwhelming. Something overwhelming means something that is too much. So you have to try to simplify things in this case. Then this goes for the select trailer. She was excited to pick a movie trailer. So this is like a positive response. The booking ticket, she was dissatisfied about not having favorable viewing hours. Yes. For the writings that are too tiny, I'll send you the slides. I'll send you the slides after the class. Yes. So for the booking of tickets, she was dissatisfied. Formula was dissatisfied about not having favorable viewing hours. So in this sense, what I mean is that if you are going to a cinema, yeah, most people want like a flexible viewing hour whereby, oh yes, they want to go to a cinema or they want to watch a movie at this time when they are free. So the app, in this case, when this app was developed, when the low fidelity was developed, didn't have this option. So she was dissatisfied about this. So this is something we need to work on when releasing another iteration or another version, an upgraded version of our design. Now, for the complete booking of tickets, she was dissatisfied about challenging payments verification. So she could not verify her payments easily. She had issues with this. Then go to theater. She was happy to go to the movies. So that's everything. So the improvement opportunities, while you are drafting this user journey map, you should also think of how you can improve the user experience of users in each scenario. This will go a long way in like helping you develop a better application. So do you understand? You guys can ask questions on whatever I've talked about so far. So does anybody have a question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Under this user journey map you explain with there's an heading there that says personnel.
Persona,
Now,
yes.
personal, yeah, the personal now will it be something that is fictional, or it will be as in a particular person? You
So
actually get a particular person to do the testing. Will it be the same person that was in the personal when you did the the empathize stage? Is it the same person, or just like a fictional?
it's still like,
Um,
oh yeah. So I understand your question. It's still like you can put off your mic. You can put off your mic. So it's still like a fictional person. You can use this person to represent anybody. It's still like a fictional person as the user persona. So you can use the same name. Because now Fumilayo has had those frustrations and she still has them now. That's why that name was used to represent that specific user journey map. So do you understand or do you get, or have I
okay,
answered
but
your question?
yeah, but that means the user journey is actually real, as in somebody did the
Yes,
usability testing.
yes. A testing was done. But in
Oh,
order, because people don't like you giving out their informations, yeah. Some people are not comfortable with you giving out their information. That's why you use fictional characters in those cases. So did I answer your question? But it is based on real life interviews or real life numbers or values or verified experiment values.
all
So
right, all right. I get now. Yeah.
yes. So after the user journey map, and yes, we now have the UX research study plan. So let me share my screen with you to explain what that means. This is like we should be done with this class soon. Ask your question, into me. Oh, ask
So
your
can I
question.
go?
Ask your question.
All
Yes.
right. So please, the usability test of a thing, like when you
Mm-hmm.
want to test your design and all that, do
Yes.
you necessarily have to test it with the user, like, or you
Yes.
can get a random person, or it must be the
Eh,
user in particular?
No, a random person, but somebody in your like target audience. Do you understand? Like if your target audience is students in Unilag now, you can actually get anybody from Unilag to actually run your usability testing with. You understand?
Yeah, I do now. Thank you.
Yes. So for the UX research study, I'll be explaining, I should just give you like, yes, a generalization. So for your UX research study, it is actually grouped into seven, yes, seven subcategories. You have your introduction, your research questions, your KPIs, key performance indicators, your methodology and participants, then scripts. So for your introduction, you have the title.
Jide,
Yeah.
somebody's raising his hand. Can you just speak before you continue?
Oh, okay. So Oluwatobi Owolabi, ask your question. Speak, Oluwatobi Owolabi. You
Please
can unmute.
continue. Questions on serious.
Okay. So for the introduction, these are what you have the title of whatever you are working on. So what are you trying to, what type of application are you working on is what will be in your title, creating a trailer watching and booking ticket app. Then the author is your name, your stakeholders, blah, blah. Then date in which you are to carry out the UX research. Then the introduction. Then your project background. So the project background for this project is we are creating a MTDV app to ensure users get to watch movie trailers as well as book movie tickets with ease. So this is like what is the driving force for us creating this app. This in turn attracts and retain users. We also want users or customers to be able to find our theaters from any location they are. We want to create a product that will compete in the market with the best and also push the brand to get heights. Now, what are your research goals? The research goals are not what you want your application to be or your business to be. Your research goals are what you want your research to show. In this case, what questions are you asking? Or what do you want to discover from your research? So we'd like to, for the research goals of this, for this user UX research study, we'd like to figure out users' pain points when they try to complete important tasks, such as watching trailers and booking movie tickets, as well as in-app navigations. So this is what is the research, the goal for this research. Do you understand? Not the goal for the design, but what you want to gain, or what the questions you want answered from the research, or what you want your research to show. In this case, what you want your research to answer. So your research questions, these are the questions you pose to these are the questions your research must show. Like if you create like a low fidelity design, yeah, and you now give it to somebody, or you are testing it with a user, you want to know how long it takes to watch a movie trailer. Because if users stay like too long in actually getting to watch a movie trailer, it becomes strenuous. They have to be able to watch a movie trailer like in like a very quick time. They have to be like, yes, can I get the movie trailers readily? Because if users have like navigation problems in searching for movie trailers and stuff, they'll just be put off and leave your app, or discontinue the app or website in this case. So the second question you are looking for your research to answer is, how long does it take to book a ticket for a movie? The third one is, how seamless is the navigation on the app? What insights can we draw from user experience with the app? Are there any parts of the ticket booking process users get stuck in? Is the payment process efficient? So these are the questions you are looking. These are the questions you want answered by the research, basically. So your KPIs are key performance indicators are standards at which you can measure usability by. Basically, that's what they are. time on task. How much time do users spend booking a ticket? So these are like numerical values. Do you understand? In this case, this is why I said the qualitative also comes into place. It is like used to back up the quantitative, because everything we've been doing has been like quantitative. We've been talking about how users feel about this, but these KPIs will give you like a numerical value on how users fare when using these apps, or when using your apps, or the app you are trying to create, or website. Yeah. So conversion rates, how many tickets are users booking per year, or yes, in that space of time. User error rates, how often do users get stuck while trying to book a ticket? Yes, system usability skill questionnaire for feedback of users. So methodology, what sort of research are you doing? Where is the research taking place? That's everything about your methodology. So in this case, this is an unmoderated usability study, in the sense that you give the prototype to users to use. Then it's not like you're telling them, oh, now book a movie ticket. You're just giving them the prototype to interact with. Now, your questions in which you will ask will be after the whole interaction. Not like you'll be, oh, you explain that, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that now. Or you have to book a ticket, movie ticket. Then when they finish booking movie ticket, you ask them how they feel. You're not like a moderator in this sense. You're just like, you just give them the prototype and ask them to interact with it, not you being the moderator or telling them what to do. Now, the location, this is for this project, this is an unmoderated usability study. The location is in Nigeria. Participants will go through the usability study in their homes. So you are not there to tell them what to do. The sessions will take place between 15th and 17th of July. And 10 participants will watch trailers and also book movie tickets through the app. Each participant will then fill a questionnaire on their experience. So I told you that this unmoderated usability study, yeah, is unmoderated in the sense that you are not telling them what to do. But after they've done, or after they've interacted with the prototype, you cannot ask them about their experience while using the app, or there'll be like a questionnaire in that sense. But in this case, there'll be like a questionnaire. There are different tools you can use in order to get their opinions. But in this case, I'm using a questionnaire. Then each session will last for 25 minutes. Then your participants, I've told you that you have target audience. Now, your participants in a UX research have to be people who are your target audience. They have to be in your target audience. So for you to know who your target audience are, or for you to select participants, you already know who your target audiences are. For example, now your participants are people who go to the cinema at least twice a month. This is like a requirement or a criteria for somebody to join or for you to get somebody to be in your research. Participants are people who watch movie trailers daily. Participants are people who live in urban areas. Participants must be between the ages of 18 and 45. Participants should include a fairly even distribution of gender across the spectrum. So these are the criteria, or these are the characteristics in which your participants, the participants of the research you are trying to carry out, these are the criteria or characteristics they must exhibit in order to be included in your research. So at least one participant should be a user of assistive technology. Assistive technology in the sense that there should be like a certain feature, or they should have like a limitation. Yes, basically, there should be like one participant that has a limitation in using the normal day-to-day apps, and at least one user who is not fluent in English. So these are what you plan or yes, what you plan to achieve with your, or who you plan for your participants today. So now the prompts, the first prompt is from the home screen, create a profile. From two on follow up. So these are like the questions you would ask users when they are done. Like this is under what? This is under the script. This is like a subcategory under the script category. So this is the prompt you want users to complete. From the home screen, create a profile, watch a movie trailer, book a movie ticket, then add money to your wallet. So now these are, when you give them your prototypes to create, these are the prompts you expect them to complete, or while interacting with your application or the app you are developing. It's still in like a low fidelity form. It is not close to the real design. These are the prompts you want them to complete. So do you understand? Or do you have any question in this case? Like we're almost done with the class. Or do you have any? Yes. So do you understand?
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry.
Yes. To ask your question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this research under this unmoderated usability testing.
Unmoderated,
You
yes.
know,
Yes.
I wanted to ask that for instance now, let's say we are working on a product now. So we want to, like you said, you wanted to work on people that play thrillers and then book a ticket. Is it that
Yes.
the designs would have been done that they will give to the user to test?
Yes.
Or like will the design be done already to test, or is it like is it a pre like a pre as in, is the testing done before the app is created, or it is done after the app has been created?
Okay. Okay. So I understand your question. Your question is, so you can, yes, you can mute your mic. So there is always a low fidelity. Please mute your mic. It will not mute your mic. So there's always a low fidelity prototype. Can you hear me? There's always a low fidelity prototype in which you give users to test in this scenario, in this case. So the low fidelity prototype is what you give user to test. It's not like your designs have to be totally done. This is like a low fidelity. This is when you start working in Figma, you understand what a low fidelity is. A low fidelity prototype is something that is not as complete as the full design, but you can still like give users to interact with in order to gauge how well your design process is going. Because if you finish working with the whole design, for example, if you finish working with it, then you now give users to test with now, and they now have a lot of issues. You now have more work to do, in the sense that you have to go back to the beginning of the midst of testing, and you now have to start changing a lot of things. But it's just like very good when you are still at the beginning, you create a low fidelity prototype. Yeah. So this low fidelity prototype is not like it's not like the actual design, but it's still like a low version, a mid version. So for example, let me explain what a low fidelity prototype is. Do you when you open like YouTube, for example, or an app, and the app has not fully loaded, you just see like boxes, like that don't have anything inside, or that don't have information or anything inside. That's what a low fidelity prototype looks like. So if they can interact with that well, and they have positive reviews, well, you can now move on to include the details into the high fidelity. So when you include the details into the high fidelity, or you create into the low fidelity and you create the high fidelity prototype, you will now also conduct another usability study in order to know whether you are still on the right track and whether to proceed to launch or not. So did I answer your question?
Yes, very well. Yeah, I understand now.
Yes. So you raised up your hand.
Oh, that was a mistake. I already understood what I wanted to ask.
Oh, okay. So thank you. So I think that's like the end of the whole class. If you have like a question now, you can ask before we call it a day. So
Yeah, no question. Thank you.
no question. So the design process actually goes back and forth. The design process actually goes back and forth. If you are like having issues confirming some things, you have to go back to the drawing board. So actually, yes, so actually pinpoint what you need and what you need to get done and how to get them done. So it's not like designing. You have to go back and forth. You get till you get like a very good product for your users to use. So you create the best version of product in which your users can use effectively so as to solve their problem. So that's it for today's class. Thank you all for showing up. So but
Thank you, sir.
the slides, yes, will be sent to the group chat after the class. Yeah, so you're welcome.
All right. Thank you
I
guys
beg
for
the
coming.
slide is necessary, please. Oh.
Yeah, sure.
So continue on Friday. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Yes.
everybody.
Yes. So bye.